Hello, and you are listening to FPcast, the official podcast for Fruitless Pursuits, where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I'm Luke.
And I'm Jacinta.
And this week we're talking about...
movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, books, board games, and more.
Star Wars!
Star Wars!
The Star Wars are happening again.
They are.
War has broken out among the stars, if you can believe that.
Galaxy is rife with littered bits of combat.
Still another planet-destroying weapon still happening.
Yeah, but
There's been a lot of those.
One.
It's the same one.
Like, it's
True.
the same one. It's not like they're trying to recycle it.
Like you've never seen it before.
But almost exactly like you've seen it before.
Some maybe some different angles.
yeah.
I've never seen
few
it
more shadows.
Never seen it hanging out on a beach before.
No, that's right.
That was pretty pretty good. Like,
pretty bitchy.
I'm on holiday now, and I thought,
it's very tropical. Yeah,
gets me in the mood. But yeah, every Christmas now, the world is given the gift of Star Wars. This is a dream come true. I've asked Santa for this every year since I was a wee nipper in the 60s. And I'm just absolutely...
Even before you knew what Star Wars was.
Well, yeah, I'm a lot older than Star Wars. I'm about... how old's Harrison Ford now? He's...
605.
600. I'm about 710.
Okay. I was born the year after Return of the Jedi came out.
Oh, no, I was born in 710. I was born, like, all serious now, serious hat. Although... it's a little bit of a festive hat as well. It's got a little...
It's got jingly bits on it.
It's got some fur trim.
Yeah.
But it is Christmas. That's pretty good improvised foley, considering Foley. Maybe it was Foley. But improvised Foley work.
Foley.
I just looked at my desk and was like, shit, bells, what can I...
What from the massive pile of garbage on my desk can I make a bell sound out of?
2 beer caps.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yes, I was born in 1977. Mm-hmm. 6. Star Wars was 1977. I'm 76.
Okay.
I'm not 76 years old. I was born in 1976. I'm a year older than Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So it's going to have its 40th anniversary in 2017, which I imagine there'll be some pretty special events for and things happening. And, God, it's probably only a couple of months.
And it's all going to be in goddamn America, so we'll enjoy watching it, the live feed on our phones.
Oh, at least we won't have to be around smelly Americans.
That's true.
And, it'll be fantastic because we should get the episode 8 trailer quite soon as well. I would think within a couple of months.
Yeah.
The first teaser.
Well, yeah, I guess a lot of people were kind of thinking, well, are they just going to hold it out for
Star Wars
May 4th?
Day. Yeah, I don't think they did last time, though. I think that was the feeling, and the actual teaser came out before that.
Okay.
So we should be getting a name quite soon. Have you heard the rumoured name? There was a name about a week ago that apparently...
I did read it, but I have forgotten it.
Yeah, they have registered a whole heap of domains and stuff with this name, and it's got over 1,000 different products and things they can use this name on. So that sounds quite promising. Destinies of the Force, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Destinies of the Force, which I think is interesting because I think we're going to get that dual destiny thing of Rey and Kylo because both of them we know from the end of Force Awakens are going back to boot camp essentially and going to get their training on.
They're going to do a big old Rocky montage.
Yeah, and maybe a split screen one where you can see the light and the dark at the same time.
Nice.
That's different.
Nice.
That's kind of new. It'd be like an Oreo.
It'll be like one of the... You know how Star Wars always has those wipes? Like, it'll be a screen wipe, but it'll stop in the middle.
And we'll go, what is that?
What is happening here?
And then we'll see them both, hitting Tauntaun carcasses, in a freezer, in Hoth, maybe. I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. But yeah, we've seen Rogue One. We went and saw it at midnight. I've seen it in... we just saw a 2D screening. I've seen it in 3D since then, so I have seen the film twice, which multiple viewings for this kind of thing a definite must for me. I really got to take it all in. So there's not much news and stuff, so we will be doing a spoiler-free review of Rogue One very shortly. And I believe we're going to do an in-depth, spoiler-filled episode all about Rogue One for our Patreon listeners sometime soon. And especially now, having seen it twice, there's a lot of things, little bits and pieces that I'd love to talk about in detail. And also, we just saw La La Land, which I believe has been nominated for the most Golden Globes this year. And we're going to review that as well. That hasn't opened in Australia yet, but there have been a couple of preview screenings. So
yeah, I think officially it's Boxing Day for La La Land.
So not too long. But yeah, we got to see that as well. So 2 really interesting movies to talk about coming up. And La La Land, of course, I'm looking forward to it at the Golden Globes, crushing Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Which it is up against.
Yeah.
Look, I think putting in a superhero movie into best musical or comedy, and it was a comedic superhero movie, I think that's pretty cool. And if you were going to give one a nod, I think Civil War's infinitely better.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's not as funny.
If you're gonna get, well, is The Martian particularly funny?
Well, no. The Martian was also a better movie too.
If you're gonna give it that pass, great, fine, I'm cool with that. But Ryan Reynolds is best actor.
I know.
He's not gonna win, but still.
Like, did they just not have enough this year? Like, did they have to go, well, we need 5? And they're like, well, we've got 4.
Popular, but he's just being the most snarky, obnoxious American person. Like, that shouldn't be rewarded for that.
Yeah, it's like
Trump shows that you are rewarded for that.
Yeah, it's like it's an acting award, right? And he's in the category with like Dev Patel in Lion, which I saw yesterday, and it's like, fuck, if like they're not even in the same fucking league in those performances. I'm just like, what is happening here?
He is all just snarky sing-song one-liners about masturbation.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I guess that appeals to somebody.
Good luck to Ryan Reynolds.
He's not going to win it.
No, he's not going to fucking win it. But he did get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame during the week, which everyone is like, oh, well done. And then someone just pipes up and goes, you know that they pay for that, right?
They do.
And people are like, oh, just be happy for him. And it's like, what? Be happy for him that he fucking paid for it? Like, what? Or what is this? It's just it doesn't mean anything.
Because I was aware of the campaign to raise the money to get Adam West one. Yeah. Because they're not cheap.
Yeah.
So yes, you must pay.
I think there's something like they have to be like nominated or whatever, and whoever organises all of that, kind of they get nominated and they go, oh, okay, do you want one? And then the celebrity goes, oh yeah, and they go, great. Pay $1 bajillion for it.
And they send them a bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we couldn't, like you and I couldn't use our Patreon money, for example, to just get one.
No, we might better get a pebble on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
A starfish on the LA beach. So, yes, that's all a bit of fun, a bit of a lark. And news-wise, it's been relatively quiet, I believe. There is this rumour of course, we knew that Margot Robbie, Australia's own Margot, was going to be in a spin-off Harley Quinn movie. It was the feeling that perhaps was the only thing that they could salvage out of the year's most disappointing movie for me, Suicide Squad. And now they're suggesting that it could actually be a 3-women movie, which, God, I don't know how the internet will... I think the internet will cope, because these are sexy characters.
Yeah, I think there's... See, I hear this news and I don't go, oh, yay, a movie with women. I go, ooh, a movie with women.
Yeah, so this is Gotham City Sirens, based on the comic book. The Gotham City Sirens from the comic, it's a team-up between Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman.
So they're going to be sassy and have their tits out? That's how I feel that the movie's probably going to go?
I don't think... I don't know, it's hard to tell with like what DC are doing at the moment. I feel like there will be a concerted effort to empower them, but I feel like comics do that a bit sometimes where they go, oh no, we're writing, there's these guys going, we're writing really strong female characters, but they're not. Like, they're not really getting it.
No.
So, I don't know. I mean,
look, if they get someone on board who understands, like, what feminism actually is and how to represent women, then sure, but...
I feel like we live in a time now where they're at least going to have to think about that. I don't know. Like, DC, Warner Brothers, whoever is kind of running these things, I do feel, even though I haven't hated on stuff as much as some, I do feel they've got some growing up to do. And it's those sort of frustrations, like them getting, you know, Kevin Smith to pimp their stuff and things like that. It's like you're not thinking of a real world, diverse audience. So, yeah, I don't know. But the article, I read an article about, which I'm not going to credit because I don't know where it was, but the Poison Ivy casting rumours. And this is Megan Fox. Who, well, I know a lot of people go, oh, Megan Fox, Transformers, you can't act. Like Michael Bay was interested in creating an acting showcase for people when he made Transformers. But I have no problem with her at all. I've seen her in some things that I've quite enjoyed. I think it's all about the material. Not that this is going to be an acting showcase either, so I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, I think it's fine. Apparently, she has had a huge chunk of Poison Ivy stuff sent to her house recently to look at.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a box of Poison Ivy. It
is a box. It might be a box.
She just had all welts over her and just to see how she actually responds to the vine. Yeah, okay.
Well, she might be doing one of those, can't talk very well today. It's a Sunday and I am on holiday. I'm on holiday for 5 weeks. Fuck yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you haven't mentioned it for like 10 minutes. I'd completely forgotten.
Well, that's why I've reminded you.
Yeah, cool.
She might be doing one of those American summer camp movies. I remember them all the time, like as a kid. They don't seem to make them anymore.
No.
But someone usually got covered in poison ivy at some point in those movies. Yeah. So, yeah, you never know. Trailers.
Not many this week.
Dunkirk. Not about the green alien woman from Star Trek.
No. It's a... true tale. It's a Nolan movie, isn't it?
Christopher Nolan. Yes. You might know from stuff. He's done a few things.
Yeah, Dunkirk. It's a war movie, World War II. It's a story of British forces who kind of like lost a battle and they're on this beach waiting to kind of be picked up or something, and there's like 400,000 of them on this beach, so there's a lot in a small place, and so the Germans are like, hell yeah, we are going to just wreck your fucking faces. And so they get all these ships in, but they're not like, they're too big to get close to shore, so there's all these like private boats and all this stuff trying to get them off the island not trying to get them off the beach, while the Germans are very intent on killing the shit out of them. And it's basically just a story of resilience and survival and pew, 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 getting shot and stuff. And it's got Harry Styles in it from One Direction.
Do believe that at least 75% of the film is volleyball.
I mean, I can only hope. I mean, they didn't show it in the trailer. But...
I think that's the twist.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
It's about them making the best of a bad situation. Yeah. And then at the end, when the Germans like really start storming the beach, they challenge them. Get your best dudes.
Yeah. And the winner wins the war.
We'll get our best dudes and we'll sort this out. Top Gun style, lots of like slow-mo shots of abs and stuff. They, of course, put in Hitler, but no one's expecting that. Yeah. And he's too short.
Yeah, he couldn't spike.
It, ultimately. Still go see the movie. It's Nolan. I'm sure there'll be you know, and even another
it'll be very dark and gritty
twist upon
volleyball.
That. Yeah.
Volleyball scene. Yeah.
But no, it looks I don't know.
It's fine. Like, it's a weird trailer out of context. Like, if you don't kind of know what it's about, it just looks like generic war movie. It doesn't look much of anything. And then you kind of go, oh, look, Tom Hardy. I like Tom Hardy. I'll go see the movie. And that's about it. Yeah. But the... This
summer, stay off the beach.
But they, like... they had all these, like, French soldiers and stuff at the back kind of trying to, keeping the Germans away. And the British are like, no, it's fine. Once we get off the beach, we'll come back for you guys. And then once they're off, they're like, aren't we meant to go back for the French guys? And they're like, they'll be fine. And they fuck off back to England. And everybody gets killed or captured.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no wonder the French hate the British.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll see it. Dunkirk.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to, right?
I'm keen to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Even without you, I'll see it anyway.
I'll see it with you.
Okay.
Fuck, don't be like that.
Fuck.
Jesus Christ, we've done what? This is episode 169. You want it all to fall apart just because of some, like, Nolan doing, like, this beach battle volleyball movie?
Well, I did get you to see Hacksaw Ridge. I feel like that might be my quota.
No, I enjoyed Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, no, it was very
I'm
good.
actually sort of mulling it around as to whether or not it should be in a top 10, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely in contention for me. I was going through my letterboxd of what I'd rated like 4 stars or more, and that was definitely in there. The first half of it was a bit, but then the second half is so good that it's like I can't keep it down. But yeah, I haven't really like got stuck into my listings yet.
There's something a bit sort of gaudy about it.
It's quite gaudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole point is that it's kind of a bit gaudy, but as a movie, it's very good.
His character is quite gaudy. That I accept, but I mean, like, I feel like, is the movie preaching at me? Like, is the movie itself gaudy, or is just the character?
I think the character's gaudy, and then you get to decide.
Yeah, I feel like the movie towards the end is a bit like, no, I'm a bit about God as well. So I just felt, there's just something about that I find unrelatable. I also find, and this is one of those really stupid, petty things that, like, you know, a dumb family member will say about movies. But I just don't like looking at Andrew Garfield, I've decided.
Okay.
And I've sort of come a weird journey on that, because when I saw him as Spider-Man initially, I'm like, yeah, I like this guy. This guy's cool. You know, he's good. But now he just kind of bugs me. And I think it's because of the Sony leak, and I read all those behind-the-scenes stuff about him and his behaviour and stuff, that I just kind of feel like he's a bit of a douche. But then Mel Gibson...
also a douche.
Yeah. And, like,
Miles Teller, also a douche.
Of a feather stick together. Absolutely. You know, speaking of trailers, and we haven't talked about bringing this up on the show, and I don't know whether we should or not in terms of spoiling this thing that apparently is relatively common knowledge, but there's been quite a lot of backlash against the premise of Passengers.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about this
week.
Absolutely.
The Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence movie. And I saw the trailer again when I saw Rogue One the second time. Now, with this knowledge.
Yeah.
And it does make it hard to watch. And I look forward to someone's going to cut a trailer of this at some point, probably once it hits DVD, where it looks like a horror movie.
Yeah.
How should we...
I think it's worth discussing, because I would have been really upset if I hadn't known this and then gone to see Passengers.
I suspected it, and then I thought, no, surely not. But...
look, if you really don't want to be spoiled for Passengers, just skip forward about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. And apparently it's... The article I read that divulged this bit of information said that this was something that was known about very, very early on in, you know, when the movie was first being sold around, and, you know, that there were articles that explain this, and that when you watch the movie, you're going to know this in the first couple of minutes. This isn't a twist at the end.
Yeah.
This is information that you're going to get very early on. And in a way, you might want to know this just in case it changes whether you're excited to see this film or not. But apparently, we know that Chris Pratt's pod malfunctions. They are on a journey to colonize another planet. It's a journey of 120 years, I believe.
And he wakes up 90 years early.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's 10,000 of them, something. Anyway, he wakes up early because his pod malfunctions. He's all alone. He's very bored. So...
The article I read said that he grows a sad man beard.
And he sees sexy Jennifer Lawrence in her pod. Starts looking up information about her and...
gets really obsessed by her.
And without her consent or knowledge or anything like that, he malfunctions her pod, not giving her a choice, condemning her to the same fate that he has. And that's not supposed to be like a horror thing. It's supposed to be a romantic thing. So that he can then, like, seduce her. It's a rom-com.
Oh, that's a nice little stalky rom-com, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you think, okay, oh no, look, that's not so bad, it's because you're picturing Chris Pratt. Picture in real life the guy that would do this. There's someone you know, I'm sure, and just visualize that guy and imagine that he's doing this and that you're waking up and that's what
and you have to spend the rest of eternity with that guy.
And to make it even sort of more fucked, her name is Aurora. She's the Sleeping Beauty, and I guess he is the charming prince that wakens her up. Yeah. And so...
I did read on a couple of forums and stuff, like, people just saying, well, look, I mean, the premise is like, okay, as long as you acknowledge it and kind of recognize it as a problem, and not just go, oh no, it's fine, like everything's fine, everyone's in love, and the main conflict of the movie is something like something's going wrong with the spaceship, not the issue that he's fucking done this awful thing to her. And someone was saying, well, if you change the ending to either, okay, so she, because she's, you know, smarter or whatever than him, she works out how to go back to sleep, and so she puts herself back to sleep but leaves him without telling him the information. It's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes it interesting. Or if she is so angry at him for this that she eventually just goes mad and, like, kills him, and then she has that almost similar journey to him, and she's kind of walking around going, oh, fuck, I'm really bored and lonely, and goes a little bit mad, and then she walks past a pod, sees a handsome man, and then the cycle kind of starts again. That's kind of interesting too. Yeah. But they're not doing that. They're just making an awful fucking movie on an awful premise.
The problem is, and I said this before on shows, bad behaviour from a character in a movie is not something to condemn a movie for me at all. I think the most interesting characters do terrible things in a lot of ways. For me, it's not so much about the plot of this, what I imagine is a relatively throwaway sci-fi movie that no one will be talking about, you know, a month after it's released, but more the fact that it adds to the pile in a way. Like, if it naturalizes that kind of behaviour, then that sort of ripples out and has an effect. There are people that are sort of see things and go, yeah, but that's fine. I was thinking about this, you know, because the Trump thing obviously has happened, and you're always reading snippets about all these things and about people's behaviour, and for us it's very difficult to imagine the response to some of those issues because they're not things that affect us as much, like the, you know, the guns, the healthcare, the education, all that sort of stuff, and paying for these kinds of things. And you see that attitude all the time where people are like, I don't think it's a big deal because it doesn't affect me. And I think anybody who's, you know, hears us talking about something even like Passengers, which is a trivial thing. The thing itself is trivial. But it's the issues are bigger, can kind of dismiss that and go, yeah, well, that doesn't affect me, or I don't think that's a big deal. And then you see that with just everything, like healthcare and stuff. I'm not going to pay for that other person. I'm not interested in that. But the thing is, when we don't have empathy for other people and we don't care about how other people are affected by these things, I don't see why people accept that and think that's a way to behave. Because when you think about it, like, the people in the world that don't give a shit about other people are the things like thieves, and they're the extreme ends of that. But like, and rapists and things like that are the people that go, well, I'm just going to look out for me, I don't care about anybody else. So I don't know why you would even start down that.
And I mean, to say is, you know, it doesn't affect me, is whether you're acknowledging your privilege or not, you're saying, I have the privilege of not having this affect me.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, I hope that that's what the world is kind of moving towards, that people are recognising their privilege a lot more. Like I was saying to you before, when I was watching Lion, like, it made me feel very uncomfortable, but in a good way, because it was like, holy fuck, I am incredibly privileged.
Lion as well. Did you want to review Lion?
Well, yeah, we can do a little review of Lion.
I haven't seen Lion, but Jacinta got to see that, so that would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole lot of gobbledygook for a
light-hearted podcast about crap.
About Star Wars.
We got some crap news. Well, not crap news. I mean, we don't have any Bingo Baby news this week.
That's true. But you are keeping an eye on baby names,
absolutely, right? Yeah. I was thinking, you know, we had Jensen's baby last week. Thank you to Kenny for all those crying Jensen images. They gave me life through the week. They made me very happy.
The fuck was that? Shut up. Sorry.
Your computer's dinging at me.
It wants to update.
What a jerk. Thankfully this week, the home fires are kept burning by Mick Jagger and his girlfriend, whose name I don't know. She's not famous or anything.
An American ballerina.
Okay, cool. She's 29 and he's 406. And she had his baby, which is his 8th baby. Christ, I can't even imagine having one, let alone 8. But I imagine that he doesn't actually deal with his children ever.
His vagina must be shattered.
And so this name, like, we've been giving shit to people for what they've been naming their babies. I actually don't mind this one too much.
That path lies madness.
Yes. The kid's name is Devereaux Octavian Basil.
Yeah.
Which...
Oh, you're right. That's fine.
No, but think, like, the kid, what's it going to get called? Like, Dev, cool. That's fine. There can be a kid called Dev Jagger as an adult. Get called that's Devo. Fine. Maybe. But see, the kids are too young. They don't know what or who Devo is. That's fine.
It's because they're deviants, like his dad, who keeps knocking up 20 young women.
How are his bits still fucking working?
Oh, I just don't know why.
How is the plumbing still functioning?
It's hard to imagine I don't know. I guess you have to put yourself in that situation.
I mean, I'm starting to grow into an area of my life where I'm starting to look at older men and going, I still am fucking repulsed by Mick Jagger. Like, I would not fuck Mick Jagger.
And obviously
at any point.
Like, there's the fame and everything. There's the story. But to say, oh, yeah, I've done it. But then you imagine, well, Mick Jagger's fucked a lot of people. You would think you would at least want some protection there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. She must have got something out of it. But, yeah. Oh, and the baby has got a great name, great story.
Yeah. I mean, his dad's going to be dead by the time he's about 6, probably. But, you know, I'm sure Uncle Keith will still be kicking on for another 25 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got no blood in him.
He doesn't.
He's desiccated. He's the mummy. We got the Mummy trailer in when we saw Star Wars again, and Tom Cruise's scream was just fantastic in surround sound.
Actually, we got because before Lion, the trailers kind of fucked up and we had to watch everything twice. We got the trailer for, like, Edge of 17 with Hayley Steinfeld.
I haven't seen the trailer for that yet.
It actually looks alright. Like, it's Woody Harrelson and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And
I'm hearing good things. No, I'd like to see that. I don't know if we'll get a chance before... It's coming here soon, I think.
Yeah, it's the very start of the year. I think it might actually be the week that I'm going to be away on holiday.
Whoa.
So we might be missing that one, I think.
Fuck you.
Spoilers, there won't be a show the second week back next year.
Is what I want to say to that. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I've heard people say, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, you know, after... we had vampires, we had zombies. Like, what's the next thing? And I thought, clearly, it's going to be sexy mummies. Like, everyone's going to be mummy crazy, and people will be on, like, Tumblr and stuff, wrapping themselves in toilet paper and, like,
drawing sexy fan art of mummies.
Yeah, and, like, they'll send each other, because there's already emojis, they'll send each other, like, hieroglyphics, like, about wanting to hook up and stuff.
Yeah.
And, so sexy mummies. And I think, like, you know, maybe with piercing eyes, just in between the bandages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And mummying, and then I think maybe, like, young couples will toilet paper themselves up together.
Yep.
Like, while naked. And
alluringly, like, unwrap themselves.
Or just lay in a box on top of each other for
1,000 years.
Just as long as they can. And, you know, people will be, like, cursing each other and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be... Because just with the strength of Tom Cruise and, you know, this movie that just looks like it's going to... you know, like my generation had Star Wars, my sister's generation had Harry Potter. I just feel like Tom Cruise is the mummy. Is going to be a mummy renaissance, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and we talked the other week about how Dracula Untold was part of the universe. Yeah. They've kicked it out now.
Kicked it out.
They've officially kicked it out. And I'm like, fuck you. You can come and live at my house, so Dracula Untold.
A new Dracula.
Yeah, maybe.
Gosh.
Can I just, like, Luke Evans was fine. Let's just get him back and just pretend that the first one didn't happen then.
You just do the whole, I had a terrible dream. I ate some bad clams. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, shall we get there? Shall we talk about Rogue One, a Star Wars story? Which is so difficult to talk about without spoilers.
Spoiling anything, yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. And also...
I think there's some stuff we can talk about because it's been splashed all over the internet over the last couple of days, which sucks. Like, guys, come on.
I'm still even just Okay, short version first. I really enjoyed the movie. I do love the movie. I've seen it twice. I appreciated it even more the second time. It's totally Star Wars. Like, we're right back in there, feeling like we're right back in the middle of the original trilogy, which is, what the movie almost is.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I actually came out of it a bit more kind of pumped and excited than I did after Force Awakens, to be honest. And I did, even at the time of watching it, I was like, I feel like there's some issues here that I'm willing to kind of give a pass as I'm watching it, but I feel like they may become bigger things when I'm watching it for the second time and I sort of know how things are going to go down. And I've seen a lot of other people kind of reflect that similar kind of thing with specific sort of issues.
Yeah. See, I tend to go the opposite. Like, after the first screening, I have those, like, lingering kind of doubts of, was this too simple? Was this too similar? Was this, too slow? Those kinds of things. But then once I detach from that thinking too hard about it, and once I watch what's there and immerse myself in what's there, I tend to go, oh wow, like this is a really nicely put together scene. Like, I was really struck, particularly the second time, by how nicely written it is. Like, there's an exchange between Jyn and Cassian after a pivotal thing happens where they're a bit sort of annoyed at each other.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely dialogue. Like, it rings really true. It's kind of... Whereas,
Is that the one where he's a bit dismissive of her feelings?
Yeah. Whereas, something about the original trilogy, even though there's some really great, like, operatic beats to it, they don't talk like human adults talk.
No.
And there's this... this is so hard for me to unravel. Let me say to begin with that if you're like just a casual Star Wars fan, you're definitely approaching this in a different way to... I think we both are.
Yeah.
For me... One, it's so much more than the film itself. This isn't like any other film where I go in and I sit there for 2 hours and that's it. And I go, yep, I liked it or I didn't like it, or this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like. This is something where there's a whole experience surrounding it for me. And that's like going all the way back to a couple of months ago when the toys came out, we went and bought the toys, the video games, everything like that. And with Star Wars, this has such a long tail. So these characters, regardless of whether you see them in another movie or not, are going to be around. They're pop culture icons now. Star Wars makes actors and characters instant icons. They're part of the culture. So I love that, like, we did this with Force Awakens, we did this with Rogue One. Remember when we first heard the names and we're reading out the names on the podcast and you're like, this means fucking nothing now. It sounds so silly, but... There's going to be a point where these are the most common household names.
There's a point I think even driving home, like I was meaning to be talking about Rey, but I kept calling her Jyn.
Yeah.
It's just because Jin's like it now, like.
Whereas, but you look at like Rey, Finn, Poe, you think of them as like these really established, like there's these Star Wars characters. We love those guys. But there was a point around the podcast going,
Poe, okay, so here's
Poe Dameron. This guy's Kylo Ren, so there's all that aspect to it. And as someone that sort of consumes Star Wars far beyond just watching the film, when you're watching the film, every frame is just packed full of information because there is lore attached to every little thing that you see in there. So when you see a new planet, I'm not just seeing this planet for the next 15 minutes of this film. I could be playing video games set on this planet for the next 30 years. I could be, with that character that appeared...
in the background for 4 seconds.
Might launch a million memes or be a figure that I have on my desk or, there's all those sorts of aspects to it. So when I'm watching it the first time, I'm trying to just pull all that information in. Like, I'm looking at everything. So it's kind of difficult. So I love the film. I think that Star Wars definitely now has done to death the Death Star, planet killers, let's get a shield down at the last minute kind of thing. I'd like to see it move on. I understand it had to come back with a familiar ground and had to reintroduce people to Star Wars in a way. We talked about this before on previous podcast about how it's always like with Moana, it's always somebody's first, and you kind of have to bring in the best of that thing.
Yeah, I think for me, again, I did really love it, but I think where we are obviously watching it in a slightly different way to maybe a layperson coming in is like we were, and I guess this was maybe like my problem on my first viewing for Force Awakens as well, like I didn't allow myself to get invested just in case. So I'd kind of put that wall up. I was like not particularly invested in anybody, and so when I came out of that I was like, oh yeah, I think I liked it, but I don't know. This, I was like diving straight in head first. I already had the toys, we've been having the trading cards, knew everybody's name, knew everybody's deal. As soon as Jin and Cassian and Krennic and everyone popped up, I was like, you are my guys.
Yeah.
And so I felt immediately connected to these characters, but I can imagine somebody else coming in maybe not being quite as invested in that, and I feel in many ways they don't give you a real reason to connect to a lot of these characters. Like, there are the funny ones, like obviously K2SO is the best thing in the movie.
Yeah.
And Chirrut's really great as well, but everyone's kind of an asshole, and I can't blame people, and there are definite people, like normal, rational people who enjoyed other Star Wars movies coming out and just going, I didn't feel it, like it didn't feel earned.
It's a very different thing, and it's hard as well because this is the first standalone Star Wars movie, so it's missing some of those like big sort of family beats and stuff like that, obviously, and it has it feels very Star Wars, but it has a different tone and it has a different sort of feeling. And I feel like when I rewatch episode 7, like Force Awakens, there's this episodic kind of uplifting fun thing. Every time I watch something, I go, I know it's only a couple minutes away before there's this other thing that I really love, or this other moment I really love. Like BB-8's going to do the thumbs up, or I love it when that big tentacled creature gets ripped apart when the Falcon goes. So, there's always something, and here's Han, and then here's this, here's Leia, here's the... Whereas this film doesn't do that as much. Because it's more grounded and more lived in, it... takes more time sort of setting up this story without those, like... There are thrilling beats. There are bits that I look forward to, but I love the whole end sequence. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. I really loved how they reinvented. Like, we've seen Star Destroyers, TIE Fighters a million times, like that kind of dogfight, but the way they sort of reinvented it, I was very excited by that.
There's an interesting sort of switch between the Lucas Star Wars films and this, in the sense that I miss, and I said this with Force Awakens after the first viewing, I miss some of that Lucas whimsy. Like, you don't have the big alien creatures or crazy alien characters. This is more grounded. But that said, Lucas created those really bizarre, whimsical worlds. Like when you're in Revenge of the Sith and you go to Utapau and they're living in those big sinkholes and there's people riding pterodactyls and shit like that. But at the same time, they were kind of hollow worlds. You didn't feel like anyone there had a life or a life story or anything. It was all visual. Whereas something like Rogue One really gives you that we're characters that live in this world and we are dealing with things, and it feels a lot more real. And I would love Star Wars to find that balance. We talked about the book, I think we did we, the Star Wars, the new Atlas, Illustrated Atlas that comes out, and it's got a section on Jeddah, and it has stormtroopers riding these creatures with big, long, gangly legs. They're kind of these amorphous, weird elephant things with long, thin legs. And I was like, oh, great, we are going to get to see some of that whimsy, but it's not actually in the film. There's
a lot that's not in the film.
Yeah.
This film has been chopped up something crazy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, in the way that it kind of grated on me a little bit with Ghostbusters, how choppy it felt. This doesn't feel that choppy until you look at, like, the trailer and you're like, literally half that trailer is not even in the movie.
Yeah, there's a few things that are like iconic shots in the trailer that are noticeably absent.
And apparently the ending is completely different from what it was meant to be originally.
Yeah, I'd believe that too, because of like that shot in the trailer of Jin with the TIE fighter arriving up. And I think as well, isn't in that shot she's still wearing the disguise?
Maybe, but there's the shot in the trailer where she's got got the disguise and got the helmet off and with all the lights behind her. That was never in there.
No,
that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, and that was like one of the big stills that was released. And Krennic walking through the water.
Yeah. Which is an amazing shot with all the stormtroopers dead around him. Yeah.
But then in Force Awakens, that prominent shot in the teaser is the back of Kylo igniting his lightsaber, and that shot's not in the film either. I guess there is a point. I mean, some of that, to a degree, I imagine they do just make that single shot for the trailer. Like they think, this is something, especially with the teasers, this is something cool, this is something we've got, where they're not even at that point of putting it all together properly. And it just comes up with that. But the thing about that, like TIE Fighter shot, for example, I don't know. I mean, they obviously hadn't mapped out all that sequence. That was something like when they
was just like, oh, that's a cool shot. We'll just put it in the trailer.
Well, I think quite sort of, but not like they're looking at the finished shot and going, that's a cool shot. They're looking at the storyboards and going, let's render up this moment where she's on the antenna and the TIE Fighter comes up. And then they do it. So I don't think like there's a whole rendered sequence that we haven't seen before. I think it's more like they pick a little bit from the animatic and go, can we get that rendered up? And then when they actually are putting the film together, they go,
we don't want that.
That doesn't actually make sense with what we've got now. Let's do it the other way instead. Because I think like a lot of fans imagine that there are these like all these alternate versions of films around, and I'm sure there's not. Like I'm sure they're just bits and pieces and developing. I can understand why Disney might have thought that it was too sort of dour at first and that they needed to give it a lift. I imagine like quite a bit of that K2SO stuff has been added in.
Yeah, I believe there's a suggestion that he's actually in it earlier than he was supposed to be, because there is some scene or shot where he's meant to be meeting Jin for the first time, and it's in the movie timeline it's much later than what it actually was that he met her.
I think his involvement in Jeddah particularly, which I really love that sequence, but he appears and then he gets out again, and it continues, and I think that's definitely an insert, that whole bit. But that's the sort of stuff we'll talk about when we do our spoiler field for the Patreon listeners. But I think once we've got a handful of these standalone movies, and it's no longer trying to jam this thing into our feeling about the saga, it'll make, I'm not going to say make more sense, but it won't be such an odd thing.
Yeah.
Like our expectations will be different. I think we're very spoiled, and it's that sort of, because TV is so fucking good at the moment as well. Look at the way we treat things like Game of Thrones and Westworld, and I'm sure, I don't watch The Walking Dead, but I'm sure people do the same there, is you're constantly looking for mysteries to be solved. You're constantly looking for that big moment and that big reveal. And the saga can do that far easier. Oh shit, Luke's got his hand cut off. Vader's the father. This is happening. Whereas this is a pretty straightforward mission story. And, Game of Thrones is still one of the best things on TV. It's got some of the coolest characters. But if we don't get one of those big reveals, when you wait you wait a whole week. And with Star Wars, you're waiting a whole year. And you're like, oh, what's the reveal? What's the big thing? And, what's the thing that's going to expose more about the lore or fill in a gap or tell me something that I don't already know? And I think Rogue One has some of those moments. It has stuff which really, this is a wonderful film to complement New Hope. It adds to it. It actually gives you a greater understanding of what's happening in New Hope. And I think that's one of the greatest things they pulled off about this, is now we go, oh, okay, we understand where that comes from. We also understand the little people that are working behind the scenes and doing stuff to make this whole rebellion go. So, it really does slot in nicely into that spot.
It was interesting coming, the next day after seeing the midnight screening, and everyone's going, oh my god, it's so amazing, it's like best Star Wars movie ever, or second only to Empire Strikes Back. And I'm like, oh, I disagree, my guy. I liked it a lot. But even though I hate the idea of ranking Star Wars movies anyway.
I think that's going to be irrelevant, once we've got...
Oh, people are still going to fucking do it, though. And it gives me the shits.
But it doesn't
Star Wars, I know it doesn't mean anything, but Star Wars is so personal.
Well, that's why
that it's anything. that, you know, like my favourite movie is Return of the Jedi, which most people have at the bottom of their list, but that's my favourite movie for different reasons than other people like Empire Strikes Back or anything like that. So it shits me when people rank them. It's like, this is the best Star Wars movie. It's like, no, that's just the one you like best.
Yeah, and it's a silly system. Well, it's like, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily that Rogue One should be judged against Force Awakens or New Hope or anything like that, because they're their own thing now.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing is you come out, and I was feeling guilty of that as well when we came out at 3 a.m. I'm like, did I like it more than, because you're sort of taught to feel like the next one should be the best one each time, you know, but it's not necessarily the case.
It's a different flavour.
I think as well, something that holds true for both Rogue One and La La Land and a lot of other things is that what we're realising is, you know, for the most part, those best movies, those movies that really stick, are simple stories which are told very well. Told with a lot of flair and a lot of character and a lot of investment. But the actual, when you break down the plot, they're very simple things. And I think that's why so many movies that are like that are the ones that have that lasting universal appeal. Diversity wise, like, it wasn't that long ago that, and I feel look, I want to clarify with Moana, I feel guilty about saying about that American voice, because obviously the young girl who plays Moana is Hawaiian, but for me it was the fact that it takes a while before you hear her voice because she's a child in the beginning, and you've got the New Zealanders, and then you've suddenly got like this really American sounding person. But Rogue One, in terms of like diversity and different voices being heard, and those people just becoming instant fucking stars, like, how cool is Diego Luna?
He's very, very, very good.
Yeah, and I know these, you know, I'm not saying that none of them have ever done anything before. They've all been in lots of different things, but to be pushed into the mainstream and to have that amount of exposure, and to just see that diversity. You know, it seems silly, but the only extra diversity I want now is I want some alien characters to actually have dialogue and line. I think there's only one, like Raditz, I think, is the only real sort of talking alien character with any agency.
Yeah, and it almost felt like we were going to be promised a lot more. Like, and I know the toy lines and stuff are misleading because they make toys of every fucking thing that you see in the background, but I just expected more of Bistan and Moroff and, you know, all those guys.
And Pow,
I expected them to be, well, Bistan at least a part of the team.
Yeah, well, Bistan, I've got the pop vinyl of him, which was an exclusive.
And he's part of when you actually look at one of the promo images, like one of the trading card things, he's in the team. Yeah. Like, he's as part of that team.
In the trading cards, there's lots of Bistan cards. He was the first character that was released on the, Rogue One character that was released on the mobile game for you to play. And I have the Lego U-Wing, which comes with Cassian, Jin, and Bistan. So you go, oh, great, you know,
Bistan's gonna be a guy.
Yeah, he's the pilot of the U-Wing in the game, in the iOS game. So I thought he was definitely part of their team, but no, he's included because he flies. Well, he's in a different U-Wing, but he doesn't have any scenes really with any of the main characters apart from a shared briefing scene. So he's got way less. He's probably got like 20 seconds of screen time, if that, and no dialogue. So
he's the new Zuvio.
Yeah, missed out. But that's all right. I think again, when we get into the spoilers, we'll really get into those characters. But yeah, I really loved the main team. I loved them even more the second time, especially once you got those initial expectations out of the way. And I really, really enjoyed Mendelsohn, particularly the second time. Sort of understanding more about what his goals were and his motivations and where he sort of fit into things.
Krennic's actually a pretty great character.
He is.
Has a really interesting kind of arc. You know, those kind of how we're assumed that the Imperials are, and he's so different to that. And that was interesting. I actually expected, like, I'd been kind of Team Krennic early on, but I had expected to kind of go in and be like, oh, Krennic's fine, but now Cassian's my boy, and like I liked Cassian a lot, but I was still Team Krennic at the end of that movie.
He's got some very nice sequences and really nice performance.
He just looks great. And I'm not saying that like he's really good looking or I'm attracted to him or anything, but he just looks like he's so commanding.
He's got a great presence. There's something that reminds me a little bit, like in that opening scene, a little bit of Inglourious Bastards opening scene. That idea of coming in and knowing you've already won.
Yeah.
And if you've already won, you can afford to be civil.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot.
I liked his accent in that first scene.
He's very Aussie at the beginning.
He's like, "Oh, g'day, mate. What's going on?"
Jeez, crikey, mate. Fuck.
That was funny. I thought that I was hearing things at first, and I was like, "He's not going to do this the whole movie, is he?"
Mate, come and build me Death Star, mate. Come on. Oh, God, just give it a whack, mate. Give it a whirl. Yeah, so, look, a big thumbs up. I'm just thrilled that Star Wars is back in such a big and positive way. Episode 8's next, which is really exciting.
And that's all filmed and all in the can, so they're,
So
very exciting.
It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan, and, just going strength to strength. And I look, Gareth Edwards as the director, just seamless. I just think everything just slides into place, as it should. I mean, when you think that the original trilogy has 3 different directors, even though Lucas was an influence on all those films, the fact that people are able to come in and I felt like there was, we'll talk about it in the spoilers, but I thought there were a couple of interesting nods to Godzilla as well in there. Lots of little pieces that little bits of references and homages and stuff that I'd love to talk about for our Patreon listeners.
One thing that was giving me the irrits with people who were like reviewing it, on Twitter and Facebook and shit afterwards, it's like, oh, finally Star Wars has done a war movie. And I'm like, no, finally Star Wars has done a hand-to-hand combat movie that's what you probably think of when you think of a war movie. But no, a war movie is a movie that's anything about war. So they've always been fucking war movies, guys. The Imitation Game, that Benedict Cumberbatch one where he's the code cracker or whatever.
So
that's a war movie?
What was that name?
Benepoop Crumble Crust.
Not familiar with it.
Okay.
Has he been here much?
Not really. No. Not on this planet.
Well, I won't bother wasting the time committing him to memory.
Yeah.
It's gone.
So yeah, don't write shit like that on social media. You look like an idiot.
Just go and see Rogue One.
Yeah, just go and see it.
Should we talk about La La Land? So, new film by director Damien Chazelle, director of Whiplash, which punched us in the bum when we weren't looking. And so, just based on the strength of that, I was absolutely 100% ready for whatever he had next. And this is a real-life musical set in modern-day Hollywood about 2 people with dreams and aspirations. Again, a simple story. Emma Stone, potential young actress, and Ryan Gosling, a jazz pianist. And it's about their romance over a period of time with big musical numbers scattered throughout. That's the summation. What did you think?
I liked it. I didn't love it. And I think it's that kind of hype thing that people have just been going so crazy about it that I did kind of expect it to change my life, and didn't so much. Like, on a technical level, I can look at this film and go, it's really interesting, it's really well executed, but for the type of film that it is, I sort of wanted to be swept up by the romance of it, and I didn't really connect with it in that way. I wasn't really feeling the chemistry between the two, except for when they were dancing together or when they were singing together, and then when those musical numbers weren't happening, I just wasn't feeling it quite as much. Which is a shame. I wanted to love this movie so much.
I'm going to agree with you to a point. And to be fair, we only literally just saw this movie. We came back and we did this. So there's been not a lot of time to mull it over. And I do feel like it's one of those things that would benefit from once you kind of know what it is and your expectations are gone. I wouldn't be surprised, like, if you watched it in a year and went, oh wow, this is...
Yeah, I'm sure I will love it. There was people in the cinema that just got up and left.
Yeah. Like,
and that was crazy.
Yeah. I am going to agree to this very small extent in the sense that I think you're absolutely right that when there's a musical number happening, the movie lifts a lot. Like, it's amazing. And there were moments where the musical numbers felt a bit too far between. That said, I did enjoy their chemistry. I think although it's really heightened, I felt like I was invested in the romance. I did like their chemistry. I liked the romance. I thought that sort of really kind of... it's one of those things that it's so magical in some ways and then it's so grounded in other ways. And they're dealing with their aspirations and how it affected each other and everything. It was something I felt like I could really, like, relate to that sort of wanting to do something and accomplish something and achieve something and not... and I make fun of that sort of American dream and people talking about the dream and things because often it rings very hollow, whereas I really felt it with this. And I did love it. I thought it was excellent. I just think that it's one of those lovely... And this is the word I've used the most to describe the things that I've really loved this year. Like, a bit of magic again. Like that magical sort of feeling where it takes some very real-world things. It takes some very mundane things. And... because this isn't something that really... The ideas, like the aspirations are romanticized, but the place isn't romanticized.
It's still dirty and it's still kind of gross.
Yeah. And it's still like this kind of unforgiving sort of rat race meat grinder of a place that doesn't give a fuck who you are and what you've done. And I think just to see those things in a new light and to inject like this bit of magic and whimsy and fantasy into real life situations was just handled so beautifully. I just think he's an amazing director, and certainly the big sequence towards the end. And I expected him to deliver a good ending because Whiplash just builds to such a great climax. I thought he delivered that for me. I really enjoyed how that went, and I enjoyed the resolution as well. I think it was very apt. I also think, I said this just last week, that I hadn't found that female performance yet that was the real standout for the year in terms of something that wasn't comedy. And I think Emma Stone was just absolutely fantastic in this. I think she did such a great job.
Yeah, the performances were really good. Obviously, I think Emma Stone was a bit better than Ryan Gosling. But,
I do too.
His, like, when he plays piano in that movie, that's all him. And he was fucking unbelievable.
He's great, but it is her film.
Yeah.
Like, although they've got, almost equal time, I think that she's the more sympathetic of the two. And she gets to do more.
Yep.
Because he's a quite deliberately distant character a lot of the time, whereas she's far more open. And yeah, it just really moved me at times. And I was just really into it. I just was like... And the opening sequence is so fucking great. Like... And when you realise, like, just the work that would have gone into that... And then the pullback to see, like, what's actually around them and everything. Just so... great. Like, when you think there's so many things that we see that don't move or engage you in any way, or don't make you think, or don't make you feel, or just follow a kind of formula, to see something just like that beginning bit, even just that first camera movement, you're watching somebody who's like so switched on and is doing something special and has something to say. Yeah, like, we sit through a lot of shit that just doesn't have half of those aspirations. So I really impressed by it. I think it's definitely going to be in my top 10, and I really enjoyed it. And, well, yeah, it will be. And, when we were talking about the rankings as well, I feel like even to rank a top 10 is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, well, is Rogue One better than this or that? I think the purposes of us doing these lists is about really... trying to inform you guys of things that we love, and so that you might discover something.
Maybe not ironically, but the other movie that's in the Golden Globe category with this one that probably will be in my top 10. Maybe you didn't like it quite as much. I really loved Sing Street a lot more.
I thought Sing Street was great, but
I mean, that centres around, like, you know, like pop music and stuff like that, which is way more my wheelhouse. Not that I don't like musicals. I love musicals, but I just connected with that one more than I connected with this one. It doesn't mean this is a bad movie. It's the same way that people that don't connect with the Rogue One characters aren't going to get that same experience. And that's not the movie's fault. It's not their fault. It's just what happened.
Yeah, and so I think that what's better than and what's this and what's that is kind of defunct in a way.
Yeah.
It's more about, well, what's good, what's worth your time, like what's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's what frustrated me on the forums, Dave, picking on you again, but when like we're talking about Fantastic Beasts, which we enjoyed, it was worth seeing. Yeah, but we like Doctor Strange better. Okay, but that's like, you know, eating a banana and going, I like apples better. Okay, but was it a good banana? Have an apple next time. Like, you know, have both or whatever. Like, you know, it's not really relevant. Pizza might be my favourite, but that doesn't mean, like, I'm
not going to have a burger sometimes.
When I have a burger, I'm not going to go, wish it was a pizza, because I could have had a pizza.
Yeah.
I chose to go and have a burger. Yeah. So, yeah, it's all good, and we're lucky that there's a lot of great stuff. So, our top 10s and our FP awards, and what we're going to do as well, because I think, again, it's not so much about a ranking, it's about really a recommendation thing, because I think that's probably the best, because we're not doing much of a service here.
No.
Sometimes we probably do a disservice, especially when it comes to valuing our listeners' time. But the sort of service we can do is maybe, expose you to things. So what we're going to do, along with all our other awards and some of the silly awards and personal stuff, is we'll do our top 10 each, the 10 movies that we personally loved. And then we're going to try and do a combined list of
the 10 best of the year,
10 best of the year, which are our more objective, like, what do we think were the 10 best movies of the year as opposed to what were our 10 favourite.
Yeah.
You're going to get everything.
Yeah, so something like La La Land, absolutely I would count it in one of the 10 best movies of the year. It won't be one of my favourites.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's how that works.
Because we can work together as a team.
Yeah, and that'll be the FP, if you know.
The Fappies are back.
The Fappies.
Yep.
And stuff. And also, you know, other important things like which celebrities would we like to bone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's another couple of
with
weeks.
Our lady boners.
Like, Diego Luna's still got another couple of weeks to kind of claw into that list. Like,
my list
he's
is
not quite there. Your list is fucking huge.
Pretty big this year.
It's insane. I've got about 4 people on my list.
I'm gonna narrow it down.
I was like really scrambling to get those 4.
And you called me on not knowing one of their names.
Yeah. You're just like, oh yeah, this person. Yeah. And I'm like, Luke, that you can't do that. You need to know their names.
She's lovely though.
What's her name?
Bryan Cranston's daughter.
That's not her name!
I think that's her name.
Oh, you're the worst person.
No, I know my favourite of the year though. Okay. So that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All will be revealed.
Because you're hanging out for that one, guys.
Well, it's the most fun one, right?
It is.
So yeah, I really love La La Land, and I think, look, it's that thing, isn't it? Like, it's a hard one to recommend because, as you said, like, there were people that walked out. Like, there are people that, like, it's not a mainstream film.
No.
At all.
No.
But, it's a nice artsy film.
Yeah, it's interesting and it's different.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to support those movies. Because otherwise we won't get any more of them.
I feel like in the same sort of way that, like, I love Birdman, and then there are people like, Birdman's pretentious, boring bullshit. And it's like, no, it's brilliant. But, loved it. Thank you. What a fucking great way to start the holidays. 2 movies that I absolutely adored. I've only been on holidays since Wednesday. I've seen 3 movies, and one of them was the same movie twice.
Oh, I saw 3 movies, but 3 different movies.
Yeah, and they were great. Well, did you want to talk about Lion before we...
Yeah, or a really quick one about Lion, because it's not out here for ages, actually. It's not until the end of January or something crazy.
And this was a preview screening.
Yeah, it was a very early preview. This is the story of a little kid in India called Saru, who gets... separated from his family, gets stuck on a train, ends up like 1,600 kilometres or something away from his home, ends up getting adopted by an Australian family played by Nicole Kidman and David Wenham, and Nicole Kidman's wigs are the star of the show. And then eventually when he grows up, he's been feeling a lot of kind of I guess, displacement. He feels like very much a fish out of water, and he really wants to
Australians are racist.
Find his family and really find out who he really is, and you know, because his mother and his family and everything never knew what happened to him, and he just wanted to get some closure on that. And it's a pretty gutting movie. Like, you know that a movie like this is not going to be a light, airy kind of, everything's, you know, fine and great, and it's pretty, like, it made me feel like shit, but in the best possible way. Dev Patel is unbelievable. Like, I have never heard an Australian accent like this from someone who was not Australian. Like, he was better than Nicole Kidman. You know? David Wenham was great as well. I'm a fan of his anyway. But, it was... I do recommend it, but again, it's not going to be something for everybody. Like, I don't think you would have really loved it. But there's going to be a screening like mid-January, which is, I'm tempted to almost go again because the actual, it's a true story, and they're coming for a Q&A. The actual Saru guy and his mum are coming for a Q&A, and I'm just like, I really want to learn more about this situation.
I'll trust your judgment on whether you think I would get something out of it, but I'm interested. I'm not. I think it again, just on the strength of, like, you know, it's going to be a quality performance.
He's amazing. It's been
story.
Yeah, it's been nominated for Golden Globes, and I feel like maybe it's not going to win out over something like Manchester by the Sea or something.
Like Deadpool.
Or it's definitely not going to be Deadpool.
X going to give it to you.
But it's really great, and like it's an Australian movie. It's Screen Australia, and it's really nice when we make a good one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, so let's celebrate it.
It's so nice. Though I do feel a bit bad for poor Dev Patel, because it's always that thing of, we've got this story, and there's got to be like an Indian guy in it, so let's just call that one Indian guy Dev Patel.
They can't
let's just ring him up. We're not going to audition. Let's just get Dev Patel.
Can Johnny Depp do it? He's a modern day man of a million faces.
Yeah, he's amazing. Look, I'm not saying shit against Dev Patel. He was just amazing in this, but you do worry about
Don't you worry about Dev Patel. He's doing fine. I've got one question about this movie.
Okay.
And I don't want spoilers. I just want a yes or a no.
Okay.
Is there a lion in it?
Oh, that would be a spoiler, kind of.
Okay, great. I'm intrigued. Because I like lions, so if there's a lion in there,
it might not be a physical lion, though.
Oh, I like physical lions.
Okay.
Spiritual lion? Like Mufasa is Mufasa in this movie? Don't say I know from your face that Mufasa is definitely in this movie. So
damn it, you've ruined
really
it.
Keen. Excellent. James Earl Jones getting some voice work this year. Excellent to see. I just wanted to briefly, just off topic, talk just for a second about Lego, because I'm having a Lego renaissance in the house right now. Those Lego Dimension sets that I told people about that were very cheap, they did arrive. So that was all good. Unfortunately, that little glitch in the website has been fixed now, so you can't do that anymore. But I guess this really is the sequel to Lego Dimensions, but rather than bring out a Lego Dimensions 2, they've added all this new content. And I've seen a real boost in I was already pretty impressed with the game, but this sort of attention to detail and the gameplay and what you get when you get a level pack, like the amount of gameplay that's there, it's actually quite good compared to how it used to be. So I'm impressed with that. And I've been playing the female Ghostbusters one. I'm just towards the end there. I shouldn't even call it the female Ghostbusters one, should I? That's Ghostbusters 2016. And, it's reminded me just how much I love that universe and that film and those characters. And they are doing the voices, which is really cool. But there's some nice just little touches. Like, in the Marvel Lego games, there's always, like, Stan Lee in peril hidden in the levels that you have to save. In this one, there is a Paul Feig, which I didn't realise until I found him. I heard someone saying help, and there he is with the glasses and the suit.
Did you see that they've made a Paul Feig pop vinyl?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah,
but
it's quite cute.
I rescued him, and he comes out of, he was in some, like, box or something. He was in some perilous situation, and he comes out and he goes, boy, I thought the internet was rough.
Nice.
And if you put, like, Peter Venkman on the thing with Melissa McCarthy's character, she goes, oh, I like your homemade Ghostbusters outfit, but it's not quite right. Yeah, and there's lots of things about toxic spirits around the place and
Nice.
negativity and stuff. But yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, what I got for Christmas, and I did build it yesterday. It took 11 hours. I've got finally the big Lego Firehouse Ghostbusters set, which is really cool. And just a heads up, in Australia, the Rogue One second wave of sets has started to come through early. They're not supposed to be out till next year. I got the Battle on Scarif one, which has the landing pad. And I haven't shown you that properly. I'll show you that. It's very cool, and it is in the movie. Like you go, oh shit, that actually is what this thing looks like, which is really good. I got it from Toy World.
I have seen them in catalogues and stuff, so I think they are coming out.
And Toy
early.
World is very sweet. There's also a Y-Wing with General Radis and stuff, but I don't have that yet. So
I saw the picture of the micro figures. This fucking shit that Krennic's shuttle doesn't have Krennic in it.
Yeah, they've done that this time. They haven't put the actual main characters in those things.
That is bollocks, because I would have bought that.
Yeah.
No problem.
A nice, easy way to get him. I do have that just there on the floor. I'll show you in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Actually, speaking of Lego and Rogue One, I saw someone say on Twitter the other day that they were glad they weren't the guy that had to make a nice, light-hearted, family-friendly Lego game out of Rogue One. Because that's going to be a hell of a chore.
Well, there'll be the Rogue One content being patched into Battlefront.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think they were adding Jyn and Krennic.
Oh, that's cool, because Battlefront's cheap as fuck now,
Yeah.
and I've got a PS4 now, so I can play that.
I don't know if you have to pay for it or whatever, but I will have a look at that, we should get onto that on the holidays. I hope I've got it on PS4.
I hope you do too, otherwise
So
you're
cheap
buying it again.
I can't just buy it again. Yeah, but we'll have fun with that. Yeah, there's a lot of content that I haven't loaded in, so that would be quite good. All right, look, thanks everyone. That's really great. We do
That was a hell of a show.
Our next episode is after Christmas.
Yeah, shit, what are we going to have? Because we watched our Boxing Day show, but our Boxing Day movie today.
We'll have Assassin's Creed.
Oh my god, of course we will.
Yeah. So for Assassin's Creed next show, we're seeing it on Christmas Day. We're seeing it in the evening on Christmas Day.
Oh, what a present for me.
Yeah. So wrap a bow around that.
It'd have to be a big bow.
Well, not that big. So, yeah. We'll be talking about that.
We'll see you on Boxing Day.
A wonderful time, whatever crazy thing you do or celebrate or believe. Like some of you believe in some pretty bizarre shit, so good luck with that. And I'm talking about Jesus, of course. Have fun and
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
We'll see you the day after the day.
The day after the day, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Love your bums.
Camelot.
Camelot.